जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जनवल्लभा गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जनवल्लभ जय गोपी जनवल्लभा गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जनवल्लभा जय गोपीजन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी जय गोपीजन वल्लभा यशोदानंदन व्रजजनरञ्जना यशोदानंदन यशोदानंदन व्रजजनरञ्जना यमुनातीरावनचारी 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 जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा। Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Jaya Kishore Kishore Jaya Kishore 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 Jaya Kishore Kishore Jaya Kishore Kishore Jaya Jaya Jagannatha Jagannatha Baladeva Jaya Subhadra Jaya Jagannatha Jaya Jaya Gauranitai 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 Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Gauranitai गौरवानंदे हरे बोल। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परम प्रभुपाद की जय। आनंद कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि बोल। ऑल गुरु हरे कृष्ण। ऑल गुरु हरे कृष्ण। ऑल गुरु गौरंग गौर विष्णुपाद। Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 62, Shloka number 2 and 3. Sri Shuka Uvacha Mana Putra Shata Jatro Jashte Valerasin Mahatmana Ena Vaman Rupaya Haradai Medini Tatse Rasa Sutovana Shiva Bhakti Rata Sada Manyo Vadanyo Macha Satyasandho Drudavrataha Shonitatke Pure Namme Sarajya Karotpura Tasya Shambho Prasadena Kinkaraiva Temara Sahasrabahu Vardena Kandeva Shkoshayanudam. This is a very big shloka. I don't think I put it on the board, so we have to just open mobile. I repeat one more time. Canto 10, Chapter 62, Shloka number 2. Sri Shuka Uvacha Banaputa Shatra Jashte Balerasin Mahatmana Ena Vaman Rupaya Hare Dai Medini Tasya Rasa Sutovano Tasya Rasa Sutovano Shiva Bhakti Rata Sada Manyo Vadanyo Dhimacha Satyasandho Drudavrata Shonitakya Pure Ramme Sarajyam Karotpura Tasya Shambho Prasadena Kinkaraiva Temara Sahasrabahu Vardena Tandeva Toshayanmudam Tandeva Toshayanmrudam. Sri Shuka Uvacha Banaputra Shato Jeshte Balerasmin Atmana Ena Vamana Rupaya Hare Dai Medini Tasya Rasa Sutovana Tasya Rasa Sutovana Shiva Bhakti Rata Sada Manyo Vadanyo Dhimacha Satyasandho Drudavrata Shonitakya Puraramme Sarajyam Karotpura Tasya Shambho Prasadena किङ्करैव ते मरा सहस्रबाहुवाद्येन ताण्डेव तोषण्मृडम् ताण्डेव तोषण्मृडम् Kindly repeat the whole thing. Because mobile, yeah, the first line is there, that's it. Because the sloka is bit, it's not too many times of word. But Mataji did good job to guess whatever she could. श्रीशुक उवाच वाण्यपुत्रसता ज्येष्ठो वानेरासीन्महात्मना येन वामनरूपाय हरेदायि मेदिनी श्रीशुक उवाच वानपुत्रसता ज्येष्ठो बलेरासीन्महात्मना येन वामनरूपाय हरेदायि मेदिनी श्रीशुक उवाच वानरूपसता ज्येष्ठो बलेरासीन्महात्मना येन वामनरूपाय बलेर्दायि मेदिनी श्रीशुक उवाच वानपुत्रसता ज्येष्ठो बलेरासीन्महात्मना येन वामनरूपाय हरेदायि मेदिनी श्रीशुक उवाच Sukadeva Goswami said, Bana, Bana, Putra, the sons, Sata, 100, Jeshtaha, the oldest, Bale, of Bali Maharaj, Asit, was, Mahatmana, of the great souls, Ena, by whom, Bali, Vamana Rupaya, in the form of dwarf, Vamana Deva, Haraye, the Supreme Lord Hari, Adai, was given, Medini, the earth, Tasya, his, Asur, Aurasaha, from the semen, Sutaha, the son, Banaha, Bana, Shiva Bhakti, in devotion for Lord Shiva, Rataha, fixed, Sada, always, Manyaha, respectable, Vadyanyaha, magnanimous, Dhiman, Dhiman, intelligent, Cha, and Satya, charming, Satya Sandaha, truthful, Drudavrataha, firm of his vows, Sonitakhe, known as Sonita, Pure, in the city, Ramya, charming, charming, Saha, he, Rajyam Akarot, made of his kingdom, Pura, in the past, Tasya, upon him, Sambhoha, of Lord, Shambhu, Shiva, Prasadena, by pleasure, Kinkaraha, servant, Eva, as if, Te, they, Amaraha, the demigods, Sahasra, 1000, Bahu, having arms, Vaddena, with the playing of musical instruments, with Tandave, while he Lord Shiva was dancing his Tandav Nritya. Atoshayat, he satisfied. Mridam, Mridam, Lord Shiva. Translation by Jai. This is from Shilpopad Ki Jai. Sukadeva Goswami said, Bana was the oldest of 100 sons fathered by the great saint Bali Maharaj, who gave the whole earth in charity to Lord Hari. When he appeared as a Vamana Deva, Banasura born from Bali's semen became the great devotee of Lord Shiva. His behavior was always respectful, and he was generous, intelligent, truthful, and firm in his vows. The beautiful city of Sonitpura was under his dominion. Because Lord Shiva had favored him, the very demigods waited on Banasura like a menial, menial servant. Once, when Shiva was dancing his Tandav Nritya, Bana especially satisfied the Lord by playing a musical instrument with his 1,000 arms. I have to read one more भगवान् सर्वभूतेशा शरण्यभक्तवत्सला वरेण्य छन्दमासाय सतव्रते पुराधिपम्. The Lord and Master of all created beings, the compassionate refuge of his devotees, gladdened Banasura by offering him the benediction of his choice. Bana chose to have Lord Shiva as the guardian of his city. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः. श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं. वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवाञ्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं श्रीकृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितं च. हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोस्तुते. तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी श्रीराधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये. वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्यश्च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद. हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 Hare Krishna. So you all are welcome to our Saturday Bhagavatam class. With blessing of all Vaishnavas, for my own purification, let me speak few words on this wonderful purport by Prabhupada. So basically, this chapter demonstrate how Lord is kind to his devotees and ready to fulfill all his devotees' desire. So this Banasura, he was a great devotee of Lord Shiva. So he was awarded by Lord Shiva benediction. And this Banasura had 1,000 hands. He was very powerful, and nobody was there to defeat him. So he was little bit proud of his 1,000 hands, and he was little bit taking Lord Shiva very uh, cheaply, and he asked him that, is there anybody who can fight with me? He was a little bit puffed up in his heart, and that time Lord Shiva said, yes, definitely there will be somebody who will be combatant to you in battlefield. So we can see the Lord Shiva being a pure devotee of Lord, he is like topmost among all Vaishnavas, Vaishnavana Vaishnava. So just Lord Shiva desired. So any pure devotee's desire, immediately Lord is very cautious about that, and Lord become immediately, and then the Lord made a plan, and we can see whatever Lord does is amazing. So how what the plan Lord made is Bhanasura had a daughter, and he had made a plan that his grandson uh, and the daughter of Banasura, he made an arrangement that uh, in the dream of Banasura's daughter, her name is Usha, the Lord's grandson, Aniruddha, used to come in her dream, but she used to not see. And she started thinking about this Aniruddha too much, and then she fell in love. And then all this when she was seeing this dream, one day all her maid servant and friends, when she was having some dream, she was speaking something, and when she was speaking, they were just laughing because in dream somebody is sleeping, right? We don't know what is that dream that person. So this Usha also, when she was in dream, she was talking something, and then her close friend, Usha's close friend Chitraganda, she she understood, and she asked her about the description of the dream and the person who is seeing the dream. Then by hearing the description, she architected multiple pictures of different Gandharvas and all. But finally, when the clean picture came out, then um, nobody was able to identify. But finally, Chitraganda was a mystical. She had mystical power, so she could make out that this person is the grandson of Lord Krishna. He's from Dwarka. So what she does is, she said, "I can get you this person," because she had a mystical power. She can travel anywhere, and she can do anything, whatever she wants with her mystical power. So she goes to Dwarka. She kidnaps Krishna's grandson Aniruddha, and ultimately she brings Aniruddha to uh, the palace of Usha, which is the Banapura's place called Sonitpura. So when this thing happened, does anybody can think that anybody can take anything from Lord's place? No, unless Lord sanctions it, nobody can take anything. Lord's entire Dwarka was completely protected by Sudarshan Chakra and so many other different celestial powers. But it was the Lord's plan. That's how this Chitraganda would take I'm saying, okay, that's correct. Aniruddha from Dwarka to uh, Sonitpura. So when this thing happened, uh, so Avusha was very happy. And Banasura being very proud of his king, he comes to know about this plan. And that's how this entire chapter will speak out now going forward on this discussion. But the point which I was just trying to make is nothing happens without the will of the or sanction of the Lord. So this is one thing. Second thing is when Banasura was proud, right? In order to subdue his pride, Lord made this plan. So first thing is will of the Lord, and second thing is will of his devotee. Lord Shiva wanted the pride of this uh, Banasura should be subdued, so Lord made this plan. Now, what is saying this thousand hands, what Varnasura is saying is this thousand hands is like a burden. So when things become burden on us, so there are multiple views to this. So we'll see whatever we can discuss in today's discussion. So the first view is any utility we have, if the utilities maintenance become more than the utility, then it become burden. Just like suppose we have car which is sitting in a garage which is having flat tire and all, it become very much burdens and after some time we just want to get rid of it. Similarly, a lot of things in our life, like some gadget which gives us a lot of problem. The utility is little bit, but we spend a lot of time in just trying to see that it works. So like that way, some of the utilities which we have, things we have, if the utility is not enough, then it become burdensome. So Mother Earth also get burdened. Mother Earth can take the weight of big buildings, big oceans and everything. But anytime any sin happens, that person's weight Mother Earth cannot take. That's what uh, Mother Kunti also prays in her shloka that in Bhagavatam first canto that, "O Lord, you appear in this earth not only just to please his devotee, your devotees, but you appear to remove the burden on the earth." So, uh, the, what when the things become burden, when they are not properly utilized. So, like that way, in our life also, the spiritual practices become a burden when we are not properly situated in spiritual practices. So, how we can say burden? Because the fall down in spiritual life just doesn't happen overnight. It happens gradually. How it happens gradually is like the instruction whatever given to us, the spiritual practices were given to us. We slowly start minimizing the principle. We slowly start compromising on the principles. Just like take a simple example, like as one progresses, he is expected to do his basic practices of chanting Hare Krishna, doing basic duty worship, offering everything meal whatever he is cooking to the Lord, and then only honoring him. But as one becomes uh, complacent about following this principle, gradually starts compromising on the offering. He eats whatever he gets it. He doesn't do his chanting in the morning. He just whole day just somehow finish it, and by that the quality of his spiritual practices goes down. And as the quality of spiritual practices goes slowly down, to follow this principle becomes very much difficult. And uh, when it becomes more difficult is when we don't have any inspiration. And how the inspiration can be derived? The inspiration can be only derived in association of devotees. So we have to see that whenever we are getting weak in ourselves, in our spiritual practices, we feel tough to follow the instructions, especially doing the morning program. That time we have to understand that I need support. When we don't have enough strength, what we do, like any time, any patient, he is weak, he cannot uh, continue his day-to-day practices. What he does, he get hospitalized, he get admitted, he get external made support, he get external like they will directly give some additional vitamins or anything external support required, because his body is not able to survive because of that. Like that way in spiritual life, when one becomes weak, one has to seek the association of devotees, especially strong devotees, discuss with them Krishna Katha, intensify our practices, and make the priority. Association is not an optional part in life. Association of devotee is a mandatory part for every Vaishnava who want to continue spiritual practices. Unless one is at Bhagavata level who can purify the surrounding, one has to must take shelter of devotees association. So, whereas this association is taken, one doesn't feel burden of the following the instruction of spiritual practices. So, the point which I was trying to make is Banasura, he was having thousand hands and he got burdened by this. Why? Because he doesn't understood it. And same way in spiritual practices, if we don't continuously read and hear and associate with the devotees, the instruction of spiritual practices will feel burdensome and we'll start losing taste in it. And that is what the Mahadevi is very powerful. He's trying to test us perfectly that whether this person is able to go the spiritual world of the Lord or no. There is no shortcut. So specifically, like some people, they to show off in their spiritual practices. Sahajiva specifically, they want to just like they don't want to work, but they want to get a salary. That kind of these people. So how we can say, because one doesn't put his effort, but he want the deep realization. It is not possible. That's how the spiritual nectar of spiritual practices is like a bottle of honey. But any devotee who is practicing intensely, who can he can only go inside the deep bottle and taste the nectar of honey. Otherwise, anybody who is practicing at superficial level, he will just taste the little bit honey which is around the bottle, not inside the bottle. So if one want to experience that deep realization in spiritual practices, one has to be really deep, one has to effort in spiritual practices. To get realization, there is no shortcut, there is no alternative. That's what Prabhupada said, purity is the force. It has to be, one has to be pure. When one will put effort, then only one will be able to become pure. There will be a lot of austerity, there will be a lot of times you will put into test where you will be asked to prove your dedication, your surrender, your uh, uh, honesty will be tested. So when we follow this thing, then that time automatically Lord will become very much pleased, and the spiritual practices will become just like cakewalk. So it won't be any more burdensome for us. So we have to really put effort to see that the thing doesn't become burden to us. So this is about spiritual practices. Second time is, second angle of this is like the devotee should be like trying to contribute in his life to the community. One should not be like a burden on the community. When one become burden on the community, because If someone is trying to take more and if he's trying to give less, then that time the asset become burdensome. So for example, like just like we can take any cow. As long as the cow gives milk, right, it is utilized nicely. But if the cow stops giving milk, then what the culture society will do, they will release the cow. But what the uncultured society will do is they'll send the cow to slaughterhouse. Similarly, in spiritual practices, when the devotee, whatever he has got, and he is offering more than that, or at least equal to that, then he is a devotee. But what is the difference between demigods and demons? The difference between demigods and demons is the demigods and devotees, they will take things and they will offer in return. But demigods are the one, demons are the one who takes the thing, but they don't offer in return. They just intelligently justify that why they cannot return. So human species is the one species which is considered, which justifies all the reasons whatever they do. All other animals, they follow their dharma perfectly. If you see, cow will never eat non-veg. The cow will die, but she will be only vegetarian. Similarly, tiger will never give up his dharma. He will eat only non-veg. He will not eat veg. He will die. Similarly, when the devotee, when he put his best effort, he tried to contribute to the mission of the Lord, contribute to the service of the Lord, then he becomes an asset. He doesn't become burden on the society. So one has to put his effort to see that uh, how I can more contribute, I can be asset for the service of the Lord. Otherwise the realization will not come. When one is trying to be in cozy zone, it is not possible. Unless one is trying to stretch oneself, one will not be asset for the Lord's mission. What happens basically when one will try to stretch himself, right, and Lord will see the endeavor. In that process he will get purified. So everyone like to be in a very no, smooth life, but nowhere things go smooth unless one stretches. It is said, like one time his girl Radheshampur was telling us that without stretching nobody can preach. There will never a situation in your life that okay, now everything is done cleanly and now you can go and preach or you can go and distribute books. No, one has to take an effort to go out of his comfortable position to preach Krishna consciousness. One has to go out of his comfortable zone to spread this mission. And when one takes that challenge, then Lord and all the Guru Shishya Parampara, they become very much pleased with that person. And one will be very much happy in one's life. Because what happens when we are used to too much to accustomed to the devotee association, we take things for granted. But it should not be like that. We should value the things. And unless we go out, we'll not see how the conditions souls are suffering. We'll not see how is the importance of the devotee and how devotees are rare. So that's what when those who are the preachers, their ego is crushed. They get a lot of challenges and they are in the battlefield to present the mission of the Lord, and they get deep realization. So that's how the preacher advances faster than any other services. So one has to really put effort to preach Krishna consciousness. It may be sometimes directly speaking Krishna consciousness. If not, then give Prabhupada the chance by distributing Prabhupada books to preach to all the conditions. So that's how the preacher of the Krishna consciousness, by his action, by his practices, by his messages, he can become dear to the message of the Lord. So the point which I was trying to make is one should feel the heat, one should feel the liveliness, and that liveliness will come only when one try to preach the Krishna consciousness. So one has to really put effort to be an asset for the service of the and mission of the Lord. So in this context, when Banasura, he was trying to think that these hands are burden on me. Similarly, in spiritual life, when we put ourselves into the challenging zone, right, all the spiritual practices will become smooth. We can see ourselves when we have festival or any time, the chanting is just like smooth it goes. But sometimes it becomes very difficult. One round looks like it's you are chanting 16 round. It's become so tough. Why? Because the mercy part is lacking. When one puts effort, the mercy is also attracted. So one has to really put effort to be asset for the mission of the Lord. And when one will do that, one will become very much pleased to Guru and Krishna. So that is a perfection for any living entity to become a asset for the mission of the Lord. So we can see when we take a birth, we automatically have multiple depths in our life. So specifically scripture mention, Vedic scripture mention, there are four types of depth. So the first depth is depth from the parent, second depth is depth from the demigods, third depth is depth from the acharyas, rishis, and the last depth is the depth from the society around us. Because we use lot of things in the society and we have to repay, like anything we use, right? We have to definitely repay. We take a birth from parents, we owe something to them. We uh, study the scriptures, we utilize all the other historical things to live our life. So that is the depth which all the rishis, they have done all the research, and that's how we live. Then we have depth from the society. So how can we pay all these debts? So we know that as a devotee, there is a Krishna says sarva dharma pratyaja mamekam sharanam vraja, I'll deliver. But it doesn't mean we should escape the depth what we have. We should try to do that also. So how can we done that? So scripture gives solution to that also, that the depth of parents can be given by um doing the shraddha, the pitru shraddha process, and again having taking the responsibility of kids, and like that we can prepay the uh, parents debt. Somebody may question, like, if somebody doesn't have a kid, or where brahmacharis, how it is that? So indirectly they are also supporting some other kids, like brahmacharis are preaching to the students and all. So and even some grastas also, they do that. So like that way the depth can be nullified. Second depth is depth of the rishis, the scripture what we have received. So to study the scriptures and apply the scripture principle in our life, the depth of the rishis can be paid. And how the depth of the daivas can be paid? So by yajna, by doing sacrifice, especially the chanting the holy name of the Lord is the greatest sacrifice in the age of Kali. So by doing that, the demigods depth can be paid. And the last depth, that is to the society. So how the depth of the society can be paid? By cooperating with the society, by thinking good about them, by being kind to them, and by giving Krishna consciousness to them, the depth of the society can be paid. So all these depths one is born. And if one is not doing that, then there is no difference between him and the animal. So one has to really put effort to do pay this debt. Otherwise we are burden on the society also. So first angle we saw the instruction of the spiritual master is a burden, how it become burden. Second thing we saw, for the society, Krishna society, we should be asset. And third thing we saw, how there are multiple debts one has to pay. If one doesn't pay, then he becomes burden. And if after taking this human birth, it's not easy just to leave this world. Even to come to bring to us to this world, there is lot of effort is done. So same way we have to repay these different multiple debts by doing different practices. So when we understand that we have a lot of things to take care, automatically one should become humble. Actually, the humility is the cream of all the Vedic qualities. And how these qualities are derived, it's not like a one dimensional, it's like a diamond which has multiple angles. When we come to the different kinds of qualities, humility automatically attract the dependence. The dependence on whom? The dependence on the Lord. And dependence automatically makes us one humble. But one is not dependent, right? One feel arrogant, one will feel proud. And when one become proud, then automatically it is easy for the person, his heart becoming hard. And in hard heart Krishna doesn't reside. And once heart is hard, one cannot chant the holy name of the Lord very smoothly. So the humility will attract dependence. Dependence should attract for the dependency. The humility should attract dependency. How? Is like one will feel, I alone cannot practice this process, I alone cannot survive. So like that way one should feel. And as soon as one get dependence, humility, then automatically the respect for the things what we are dependent gradually grows. So as the respect grows, then there is no question of having whimsical mentality, there is no question of having any disrespect or uh, taking things for granted. We value the thing. So the respect should come, and then we should value the things. So as things are valued in our life, then we will make a lot of progress, very quick progress in our spiritual life. But one time, there is one example comes to my mind is there was one couple who came to uh, one of the spiritual teacher, and they were asking question, and they were had so much terrible differences between them that they said, "No, we should separate now, we cannot just leave it." And then it was asked that what is the matter. So husband said, this wife, she doesn't respect me, and wife says he doesn't understand me. And then it was asked that what is the matter exactly, can you tell little bit, tell me what is the issue. Then they elaborated. Then the husband told, like, she serves me the last part of the bread, and uh, she thinks me I'm not useful anything, I'm not any value. That's what husband complained. And the wife complained that no, I care for him, and I offer him the best part of the bread, and he thinks that is a bad part of bread. So um, the wife told, in Italian culture, the side part of the bread considered the best and it is offered. And the husband, he thinks from the American culture that the last part of the bread is burnt, so it is not good. So that's how he's thinking, she is bad, she's thinking he's not understanding me. But the immediately the spiritual teacher asked the question that, did you ever try to express this feeling? And both said no. So a lot of time the problem happens because the things are not expressed, the things are not communicated. So the communication is the key part in any relationship. So when we try to communicate, automatically things will become very light in our life. So one has to be really communicative in terms of all the principles, communication, to maintain the healthy relationship. Actually, it takes deep humility to maintain any relationship. It's not just always I am right or you are right. No, we have to see holistically in the relationship that who is right holistically. And unless we are able to forgive others, the relationship will never sustain. Nobody is perfect in the life. And when the relationship is backed up by the deep humility of both personality, then the relationship become very healthy, and the relationship doesn't become any more burden. Otherwise it is just, nowadays if we see society with the eye of the scripture, people just somehow or other they are continuing their relationship. Otherwise, one time that become relationship becomes so heavy that it breaks. And that's how we see so many divorces happening and all. The reason is, there is no relationship backed by humility. No relationship is not backed by the love, and no sacrifice, no forgiveness. All these good qualities are missing, and that's how we see a lot of marriage are breaking nowadays. So things become burden when we don't understand, we don't communicate, and we don't value. So it is very important that it should not become burdensome. So this Banasura, he had 1,000 hands, but he doesn't know the purpose and utility of his thing, and he is not humble. So that's how he was feeling this 1,000 hand is like a burden on me. So one has to know that we have to make endeavor always. We have to act. We have to put ourselves into stretch zone to come out of the comfortable zone for bringing oneself as an asset for the service and mission of the Lord. So I think we are up to time. I'd like to take few comments, questions. Yes, I have a few more points. If time permits, we'll see. Yes, bro.
Thank you, thank you, Charanrenu Prabhu. Um, uh, this point that you brought, wanted to ask you. Obviously, as devotees who are sincerely endeavoring to advance in Krishna consciousness, you really try to cultivate and to think about these qualities of a Vaishnava, like you mentioned, few of humility, forgiveness, tolerance, all these type of the qualities. And devotees are sincerely in general endeavoring to do that. Now, how do we know when when we're not we're missing, you know, or one of these qualities is not is being compromised. How do we know that? How? Because it sounds very simple that you say, oh yeah, I guess I'm having been humble, but it's not as simple as that when you are so absorbed in a particular reality. And in general, we're not with individuals. I mean, talking about each one of us, there's moments in which we don't have uh, the proper, how would you say, what's the word? Um,
There is no track. Basically, you want to say how to track this thing.
yes, we don't have
Yeah.
we don't have the objectivity to actually being able to see, like that. So how do we know how we can keep track on this thing and monitor the things?
Yes, this is very important question, Prabhu. And this cannot happen by single person. So that's how there is a system called counseling system, in which the person has a regular reporting on his own spiritual practices. What time he completes his round, what reading he's doing, what services he's doing. So when the person is trying to report to his higher authority, and he expresses what all his feeling is there in this week with his higher authority, the higher authority, the counselor or the mentor or teacher, whomever he is reporting, he can perfectly see his level of consciousness, and Krishna will inspire that counselor or teacher to correct and inform about the level of consciousness of the person. And it's very easy when we are reporting somebody, we are representing, we are submitting ourselves to the representative of Krishna, and whatever incidents happens in our life, we tell that personality, and on that incident basis, that person can perfectly tell whether we are humble or how should we deal with it in any situation, in expressing any quality. So sometimes it seems that we have to, when we are dealing with equals, we have to be really friendly, and if you have friend in Krishna consciousness, there is another way to know the level of quality what we are practicing in our spiritual life. Second thing is counselor, and third thing is we ourselves can contemplate what all incidents happen in a whole day before going to bed, and see in today how I acted, whether was really it was really was I okay in that situation, or communication when I was trying to do while dealing with this devotee, was I so much harsh, or was I like okay, really it's my ego I'm trying to show that, or it is really that person need this kind of correction, or while trying to take care of somebody, really is it my heartfelt compassion for that person, or it is out of my ego coming. So that personal contemplation, so these are the three angles which one can know what level of quality one is developing into oneself. That's what I feel, but you know already, bro.
Hare Krishna, bro. Just I was thinking on the verse, kind of a comment. So it's interesting how Sukdev Goswami introduces Banasur as a offspring of Bali Maharaj and then connect the Vaman pastime. So there is what I understand is that there is a anugrah or the mercy of Lord already there, and that is what you are saying that no one can go to Dwarka and kidnap and come back
Yes.
without that. So that was I wanted to say. Another question was I was just contemplating, like Bali Maharaj was devotee of Lord, and how come Banasur became like devotee of Shiva? Is there something described about that
No,
or?
generally all the demons they are devotee of either Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma. So it is in general. So Bali Maharaj being a son of Prahlad, right? It was for him very easy, and he was also following whatever principles Shukracharya taught him. But he knows in principle that when Lord comes, it is perfection, and that's how he's Mahajan. Why Bali Maharaj is Mahajan? Because he knows, and that's how he was a devotee of Lord Hari, and Banasura was a devotee of Lord Shiva. So it is a perfect plot of the Lord, where Lord makes things arrange as per his pastimes. So Like it is very unnatural to be born as a devotee in demon's family as a Prahlad Maharaj. It's not like common. Same way it is like that. And Varanasura also was associated with so many other demons only. So he had a choice what he want to pick up. So he pick up Lord Shiva as a choice for his worship. So that's how it is. Any more comment, question? Yes, Prabhu. Huh? Okay, then we'll stop here. Shil Prabhupada ki Jai.